Viewer discretion advised. This series contains horror scenes that are meant to give you paranoia and keep a lingering feeling that you aren't alone. As you read throughout the books, make sure you remember that everything has meaning and it was your choice to keep moving forward. Nowhere Close, July 21st. Has anyone seen Theodore? Officer Susan asked the other officers who are in the building. After he went home yesterday, he hasn't shown up, Officer Mitch says. I'm going to go pay him a visit then. Susan leaves the building and drives to Sheriff Theodore's house. The car is still here. Hey, Theodore? Is everything alright in there? No response. Maggie? Are you in there? No response. Susan tries to open the door, but it's locked. Susan walks to a nearby window and peers in. Nothing. Susan walks to the side of the house and peers in. At first, she didn't see anything, but then she saw picture frames on the ground, almost like they were beaten off the wall. Susan tries to open the window, but it too is locked. Please don't kill me, Theodore. Susan picks up a rock and throws it at the window. The glass shatters. Susan unlocks the window and opens it to crawl in. She goes to the hallway and sees that there was definitely a fight here. There's a hole in the wall, and half of the things on the wall are now shattered pieces on the ground. Susan picks up her walkie and reports into it. I want an investigation team at Sheriff Theodore's house. Stat. Why? A voice from the other side asked shortly after. Something happened here. I'm not sure what, but I think it has something to do with a relevant case I have. Alright, I'll send someone over. Susan waits in the hallway and tries to gather clues about what happened. Clue number 1, whatever has been attacking people was here. The dead giveaway is the lack of body, or any signs of where it went. She got the second, and sadly final clue before the investigators got there. She managed to log into Theodore's cameras and say that the time of death was around 2300. There was no footage of something getting in or leaving the house, though. There were also no cameras that got the inside of the hall. Do you know what happened here? One of the investigators asked Susan. No, all I know is that Maggie Rogers was here last night. And you can confirm this how? Theodore and I took her under our care to help crack a case we were working on. And I think that the thing that has been going around making people disappear did this. Back up. Do you or do you not know what or who did this? I have an idea. Alright, we're going to need everything in this case then. Right. Come by the station and I'll give it to you. Will do. Now, if you don't mind leaving the premises while we sweep the area. Susan turned around and heads to her car. What happened to you, Theodore? Susan questions when she sits behind the wheel. Susan drives back to the station and continues her work outside of this case. At some point, Susan goes back to the disappearance case and looks over the notes a million times and still can't figure anything out. She thinks that it's weaker to high-pitched noises, but how high? Why did they use this knowledge to try and escape? The thing that is really boggling her mind is where the bodies are going. In the car footage and this crime scene, the bodies were dragged off or missing. The difference between the two incidents, though, is that in the video, the body was dragged somewhere, leaving a trail of some sort. But these bodies just vanish. Even if Maggie and Theodore were dragged off somewhere, how were the windows and doors all locked? So many questions and no answers. Officer Susan, you have a guest. Officer Mitch has someone beside him who seems familiar, but she can't tell why. I'm here about your case. Please tell me everything you know that relates to the death of Maggie Rogers. The person says. Their style choice is weird. They are wearing a white shirt and a blue flannel covering it, and shaded sunglasses. Their voice sounds a little ragged, but it could just be the masks they are wearing. Is everything alright? Do you need some water? Susan asks before answering questions. Just a little sick, the person answers. Alright, here's everything I know about the case. After Maggie woke up from a coma a week after her brother's supposed death, she started talking about how this figure with an uncanny grin existed. She was put in a mental ward to help deal with the things she was seeing. After 4 more people went missing and Officer Tommy's car crash, I convinced Theodore to give Maggie another chance. With her help, we learned a few things about this creature. 1. It can fade through objects like they aren't there. 2. It doesn't show up on camera unless it's weakened somehow, and we think that it's weakened by high-pitched noises. Is that everything? The person asks when Susan is done speaking. Shockingly, he doesn't seem surprised. Theodore was going to take Maggie one day, and I was going to get her the other day. Theodore took Maggie back to his place for the night to keep her safe and help her with her seeing thing. And I think the creature attacked him. Susan goes quiet again. Now, that's everything. I would like this on paper, if possible. And that will be all. The person gets up and takes their glasses off to clean them. In the brief second, Susan froze as she saw white eyes. The person put the glasses back on. Is there a problem? Sorry, no. I was just making sure that was everything. Susan goes into her filing cabinet and pulls out a copy of the case. Here you go. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. They smile through the max and leave the building. It's not until Susan hears the door click that she realizes that she is holding her breath and lets go. That was a creature. It had to be. It had white glowing eyes, just like in the video. Susan thinks out loud and quietly. It's probably just a coincidence. Susan leaves her office and goes to Mitch. Who was that who just came in? I'm not sure. They just said they needed to see you about the case. Mitch confesses. Did they come in any kind of car or something else? Susan is desperate for any kind of lead. Not that I know of. I need to access the cameras. Susan goes into Theodore's office and goes to his computer. Whoa, Susan, don't you think this is a bit much? What is this even about? Mitch follows Susan despite his hesitance. Look, if you're interested, then I'll update you later, but this could get you killed. Susan gets on the computer and logs into the outside cameras. Whoa, what? What's going on? Shut up for 1 second. Susan hones in on the cameras and watches as the man just walks up to the building, knocks on the door, then leaves. Did that person grab anything while they were here? Susan, you aren't making any sense. Did that thing grab anything while it was here? Susan's voice is getting louder and more agitated. No. Now tell me what's going on. That Brad! You made sure there was no trace of him, and you wore too much face covering for the cameras to catch a good angle. Damn it! Susan slams her hand on the table. Susan then remembers that Mitch has been asking non-stop questions. There's something on the loose going around killing people, and Theodore and I were trying to catch it. We don't know much, but it can go through walls, doesn't show up in cameras, can play some sort of trick on your mind, has glowing white eyes, and a shadowy body. And it's weak to high-pitched noises. I think it can also look like other people. Last night, it got Theodore and Maggie. The same Maggie that we interviewed a few weeks ago? Yes, we got her to come in with us to help. Did you not see her yesterday? I guess not. If this thing can't be seen on cameras, then how did you see that man on the camera just now? He makes a good point. Maybe it can only be seen on cameras if it looks like someone. Then why didn't it look like someone when it was with Tommy in the car? Gah! Susan complains. What time is it? Almost 3. You know what? I'm just going to drop this case right now, pick it back up tomorrow, and when I go home, I'm going to have a nice bubble bath with scented candles, and Susan stops when she realizes that Mitch is still in the room. And forget about everything. One thing that has stayed consistent is through these kills that they have been a week from each other, so I have time until the next kill. Well, good luck with that then. I have some paperwork to do. So I'll talk to you later. Mitch leaves the room and goes to his desk. Susan spent the rest of the day fulfilling her duties until she clocked out. Once home, she was so relieved that she finally got her bubble bath. She didn't question why her husband and daughter weren't home and went straight to the shower. Ah, Susan is relieved as her body immerses into the pink, bubbly water. She lights a candle and lets her worries fade away. She rests there until her body feels weightless and her skin begins to wrinkle. She unplugs the drain and dries off. As Susan dries her hair in the mirror, she begins to question why her husband and daughter aren't home. It's not like them to be somewhere without telling her, let alone out this late. Almost as if she summoned them, she hears the front door open. She quickly puts some clothes on to see them. "Where were you two?" Susan asks as she turns around the corner. Diego, Susan's husband, is twirling their daughter, Amelia. "We can't tell you," Amelia says, her voice woozy and tired. "Did you get our kid drunk?" Susan snaps at Diego. "What? No." Diego is confused and then realizes their daughter can barely walk forward. Sugar and tiredness don't go hand in hand with each other. "Well, come on, Missy. It's time for bed." Susan guides Amelia to her room. She can be washed up in the morning. "But Emily said that we can stay up tonight." Susan is confused about who this Emily person is, but thinks that her daughter is just too tired to think. "Well, your mom overpowers Emily. Off to bed with you." "Okay." Amelia yawns and staggers into her room. Once Amelia's door is shut, Susan whips towards Diego. "Explain. Now." "There is something we should talk about first," Diego starts. "Yeah, like who is Emily?" "This morning, I heard Amelia talking to someone in her room when you left for work. When I entered the room, she said that I scared Emily away. I was confused and asked her who Emily was, and she said that it was a girl who visited her from time to time. She knocks on her window, crawls out from under the bed, or peers in from the closet. This naturally scared me, so I checked under the bed and saw a grinning face with white glowing eyes." "What?" Susan shouts and panics. "Where is it now?" When I saw it, I remained calm and told Amelia that I had a surprise for her today, and we left the house until I knew you would be home. Susan takes zero time to hesitate and runs into Amelia's room. As the door swings open, she sees the creature looming over her daughter, brushing the hair out of her face as she sleeps. Its head creaks over to Susan, hand still brushing Amelia. "Get away from my daughter," Susan demands, but keeps her voice quiet enough so Amelia doesn't wake up. The creature stops and walks slowly and carefully over to Susan, careful to not make any noise. Susan begins getting into a cold sweat and can feel Diego's gaze on the creature from behind her. As the creature gets closer to the doorframe, Susan backs into Diego, and he steps deeper into the hallway. As the creature passes from Amelia's room to the hallway, it turns around and shuts the door. "We don't want to wake her." His voice is quiet and considerate of the situation. Two things Susan is confused about. "What do you want with Amelia?" Susan demands, keeping her voice from yelling. "One thing, but you know too much." The creature whips to Susan and grabs her by the neck, slamming her into Diego and onto the ground. Diego pushes out from underneath Susan and tries to elbow the creature, but he phases right through and elbows Susan, knocking out the remaining air she had. "Sleep well." This time, the voice is distorted. The creature smiles, twists, and turns as its grip gets tighter and tighter. All the meanwhile, Diego is panicking. "Amelia," Susan says in her last breath. Diego takes no time and rushes into Amelia's room and grabs her from the bed. "What's going on?" Amelia says, half awake to the situation. The creature walks in, its smile revealing teeth as white as its glowing eyes. "Hi, Emily. Daddy and I have something to do right now," the creature says. Its voice is now soft again. "Okay, Amelia rolls out of her father's arms. Amelia, no! Diego tries to grab Amelia, but it's too late. The creature grabs Diego's neck and puts him through the same fate his wife just suffered. Run! Diego tries to get his daughter to leave, but she's already back to sleep, completely oblivious to her father dying right above her.